Welcome to episode 7 of Cancer Called. Today with me, I have Judy from A Second Act organization.
Right.
You can find her at asecondact.org. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Judy is also a cancer survivor and so graciously agreed to be on the show with me. And if you can't tell, I'm kind of beaming because I'm excited. This is Judy's first time seeing me act crazy, but the rest of y'all know how I am. So we'll just jump right in.
I'm honored. I'm really honored.
Thank you. So let's get started. Let's talk about first when you were diagnosed with cancer and what type of cancer you were diagnosed with.
Absolutely. So, my husband and I had gotten married in 2010, and 9 months later, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer.
Okay.
It's relatively rare. Only 15% of all cancers are triple negative, and it typically strikes younger women, women of color, and women of Ashkenazi Jewish descent. And I know
Really?
I'm not the first two. And I don't know if I have any Ashkenazi Jewish background, but it was crazy that I should have
And
it.
it's that rare. So
It's-
and how did you say how old you were when you were
I
diagnosed?
was 58, because I'm
Okay.
68 now.
68 and look better than me.
Nuh-uh. And so the treatment, it's triple negative because it's not fueled by any hormones. So the treatment is a little bit different than the other breast cancers, and in fact, they discovered that its cell structure is actually more akin to ovarian cancer. So,
Really?
and they were finishing mapping the cancer genome as I was going through treatment, and before surgery, they said, well, we'd like to use the breast tissue for research. Could you sign this waiver? And I said, well, it's not like I'm taking it home. Yeah, you can have the whole thing and feed it
That's
to the
just
dogs
surprising in
afterwards.
itself.
I
I'm
don't
like,
care.
why do you want?
And then that's what they said, and then we'll dispose of it respectfully. And I said, well, it's not respecting me, so just do with it what you will.
do.
Right. So then it was a mastectomy, and then 18 rounds of chemotherapy, the ACT trio, adriamycin, which is known as the Red Devil. And
Ooh, now, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, that's good.
But episode 2 or 3, we talked about the Red
The
Devil.
Red Devil.
You had the Red Devil too.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going,
Yeah.
because that one that's a bear.
Adriamycin, Taxol, and
Yep.
cisplatin.
Oh, that's a new one for me.
Cisplatin this is kind of interesting, cisplatin was the first metal-based chemo drug discovered, totally by accident, at my alma mater in 1968, Michigan State, by a biochemist. It has horrific side effects. They've since made other drugs from it, but
Yeah.
for a long time, it was the chemotherapy workhorse.
Wow, and
Yep.
so you called it ACT.
So it was the cocktail was ACT. So the adriamycin and Taxol were first, and then the cisplatin after those first 4.
So let me ask you about the side effects, right? That's my favorite phase.
Yeah.
Because, our viewers, they hear me talk about the diarrhea. Oh, I'm very blunt, Judy, so just get ready. The diarrhea, the hot flashes if you're in early menopause, the hair loss. With your cocktail, what do you think was the worst side effect for you?
It was probably the nausea. I mean, I don't know a human being who says, "Gosh, I love throwing up."
Yeah.
But
I hope not.
yeah. But
Oh,
I
maybe you do.
really, it was really the nausea that bothered me the most. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me just a second. Cambridge, lay down. Lay down. I have a wonderful Mastador, 100-pound dog who now wants attention because
Yeah.
my attention is elsewhere. Sorry.
That's okay, because we're going to bring Lola in sometime.
Oh,
too,
good,
so.
good. So, and I was really only sick for one day. It was 24 hours after treatment. I then would spend a day sick,
Mhm.
and then I was fine after that.
Were-
The hair loss, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Were you taking it, when you said 18 rounds, did you have to do it every week? I had to do it every 3 weeks.
It was every 2 weeks. My doctor said to me, look, we're gonna hit this hard, and you're not gonna like me because we're gonna do chemotherapy every other week, but you're really healthy and I think you can do it. And I had found my lump 2 weeks after, or 2 months after a clean mammogram. And when they took the breast off, they found several other tumors
Wow.
circling the mothership. If I hadn't felt that one lump, by the time I would have felt the other lumps, it would have spread elsewhere, and my outcome would have been probably very different. My mother's sister, ironically, also a middle-aged white woman,
Yeah.
died of metastasized triple-negative breast cancer in 2002, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I have no genetic mutations.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
But I was triple positive.
Ooh, that's a tough one too.
Yeah. So when you talk about how rare it is, and you were 58, I'm like, well, now I'm was triple positive, and got cancer at, how old am I? 39. And they said my type of cancer you usually find in women 50 or over.
Oh, that's too funny. We swapped.
Yeah. So like, what's the
Mine would have
chances of
fit
that?
you much better.
Yeah. Like what the heck?
Yeah.
But okay. So
I rocked the hair loss. I thought it was a hoot.
you know what's funny?
I mean, I don't know
How
if
do
I
I
rocked
say
it
it?
appearance-wise, but I thought it was fun.
I like how you said you rocked it because you saw my unicorn girl, which is a depiction of how I
Yeah,
felt going through
Yeah.
cancer. I got to the point with the confidence of my husband and the support of my husband where he was like, cut it off
Yep.
because you're not going to be able to handle it, pulling it and
Yeah.
touching it. And once I shaved it off, I was like, I think I'm kind of a badass.
Yeah, it was so freeing. And
Yeah.
flying, so standing at the front of an airplane and having everybody stare at you.
Yeah.
Like they don't know whether you're a terrorist or a crazy woman. I mean,
Yeah.
it was really fun.
Wait till you see some of the shirts that I'm going to come up with, some of the merchandise.
I love it.
Especially dealing with being bald.
Yeah.
One of the shirts we were talking about was, cancer called I May Be Bald, but I'm sassy and classy.
I love it.
Things like that. So looking forward to that. So you did the chemo. Did you have to do radiation?
No, no, because when the breast went, all the cancer went. But and it's funny, so my boys were adults. My son, as it happened, was deployed to Afghanistan while I was going through treatment. And
Just stress.
yeah.
Stress.
So my oncologist said, so you really are cancer free now, but you have a 30% chance of a recurrence if you don't do chemo. And my boys are
That's
real
about
health
what I heard.
nuts,
Yeah.
and they said, boy, Mom, that stuff's poison. Do you know what it's going to do to you? But 30% is huge.
That's high.
That was way too much. So I said, yeah, I know, but we're going to do it anyway.
And you did it at 58 and you look great.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm just saying, for those cancer,
Good for the wrinkles.
let me tell you something. For those cancer survivors out there, because I like something that you said in one of your events, and we'll get to that in a second, but you're a cancer survivor from the day you're diagnosed.
That's right.
I've held that comment that you made a few weeks back
Yeah.
when I first met you, since you said it, and I was like, well, she's probably onto something with that.
Yeah, and I didn't come up with that. Actually, today
Mm-hmm.
is the 35th anniversary of this group of people coming together and founding the cancer survivorship movement.
Okay.
And cancer survivors were horribly discriminated against, even in 1986. And so they worked against discrimination, they defined survivorship, and that was their definition. Because it makes no sense. So
Yeah.
if you have to wait like 5 years to be a survivor, and then you recur in 5 years and 2 weeks,
Right.
does that mean you were never a survivor? You didn't, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, but when you broke that down, or when you said that during that event, that never would have crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I have to get rid of the cancer before I could be a survivor.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess it's no different if you
You're
took a bullet.
No.
If you took a bullet and you lived after the bullet,
Yeah.
you're a
But
survivor.
and I mean, after all we go through, treatment-wise, it's much more brutal than having a heart attack or lots of other things. So yeah, you are a survivor from the moment of diagnosis, because that's when you start surviving cancer.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So let's get into, since you didn't have to do radiation, I usually
No.
talk about that. Your reconstruction. Did you do reconstruction?
I did. I did.
How do you feel about that, as far as implants and using your normal
I'm using my
body
own
fat?
tissue.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to use my own tissue, and they told me I didn't have enough anywhere to. I was like, oh.
Because I guess this is comedy hour
Good,
right
I
now.
guess.
Because she just threw that out there.
I'm
She did
sorry.
not have
I was
enough
like,
tissue.
Okay, my right cheek and a little bit over here, just like mush it together and put it in.
Yeah, but it's just your body makeup. It's just your genetics.
Exactly.
I've been trying to hold on to mine. Hopefully y'all don't see too much of it, just in case I switch out these implants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But so you went with the implant.
So I have, and it's funny, I had an oncology appointment today, as it happens.
Oh, okay.
So I'm 10 years out. So I said to him, so I seem to remember early on my plastic surgeon, and I was treated back in Michigan, my plastic surgeon saying, yeah, these usually last about 10 years. So
Yeah.
here I am at 10 years, what do you think? And he looked at me and he said, the implant industry changes and has new products coming out all the time. He said, we as oncologists can't keep up with it. We're focused on the disease part.
Yeah.
So to get that answer, whether or not you need an
You have to go to a
upgrade.
plastic surgeon.
Yeah, I need to go see a plastic surgeon.
I have a great one if you want.
So,
if you're
okay,
interested.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because she said that very thing. In 10 years, you're gonna have to get these switched out, and I was like, really?
And mine is it was my expander as well. So
You got
they
the
put it in.
expanders too.
They put it in. They pumped, and I only had one removed.
Oh, okay.
And
you didn't give up.
I really, my surgeon was very good and very opinionated. And in fact, we got into a huge fight about 2 weeks before surgery. And so I had said, I'm only doing this once, let's take them both. And she said, I don't like to take a perfectly good breast. And I should have just said, well, this one was perfectly good once
Right.
too. And then every time I say that about this one, I'm like, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so
Yeah.
it's time for me to.
Get them checked. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that you get Dr. Walsh's
Great.
information. She's supposed to be on my show too.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah,
I love it.
and she's a great person. So one thing I'm really happy about is not only are we chemo sisters, but we are, what would you call us, Top House sisters?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that.
Actually,
sisters.
I had a really good friend
Yeah.
who had
Implant
a double
sisters.
mastectomy, and we wrote an article for Huffington Post called 3.5. No, it's what we call it. Yeah, 3.5 foobs, because a foob is a
Yeah.
big boob. So
Yeah.
she had
A
2
foob.
and I had 1. So we were 3. Why did we say 3.5? A tale of 3 foobs. That was it. A tale
Yeah.
of 3 foobs.
Well, I'm glad I did it now, because I really think I would have been worried constantly if I didn't do the double.
Oh yeah, I do.
Especially when he said I was triple positive.
Yeah.
I was like, so it feeds off of estrogen, which means if you don't block all my estrogen,
Yeah.
I'm going to worry myself to death about
Yeah.
the other one. So I was like, just take the other
Yeah,
one.
I've had like 3 or 4 biopsies on the right side, and I'm just like, oh, why did I do this?
So we definitely learn
Yeah.
from our experiences.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you do for a living.
Okay.
And after the cancer, what made you think of a second act? That's Cambridge.
That's Cambridge now chewing on her bone. Sorry, everybody.
I love it. No, they love this because this is how it is. It's girlfriend bone gal.
Yeah, and this particular bone has like goo in it, like
Yeah.
fake marrow.
Yeah.
And she's learned if she tosses it and it lands on the tile floor, pieces of it
Will fly out.
Yeah.
Less work.
So that's
I
right.
Blame her.
That's right. So I'm a writer by profession.
Mhm.
I wrote 2 books about ordinary people who've been extraordinarily courageous during World War II. One was
Really?
a man. One was a man who was a POW of the Imperial Japanese in the Philippines, and that actually came out in 2001, right after 9/11. And then the publisher took it out of print, and now it's being re-released November 9th.
Okay.
20 years later with some updates, a new forward. So this is the 80th anniversary of the Pearl
Wow.
Harbor bombing. And
80 years.
80 years, yeah.
I didn't realize that
Yeah.
at all.
So anyhow, so then I thought, well, courage is kind of interesting. I'm going to research and write a book about how men's and women's courage differs. And so I worked on that for about 2 years. I couldn't quite package it right. I kept redoing it. But ironically, one of the chapters was courage in the face of catastrophic illness. And I interviewed a woman who was BRCA positive, and so first was diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer. Then they did the genetic test, so then she had to have a mastectomy as well. So she's telling me that she writes this newsletter for her hospital, and she runs a support group. And the pre-cancer Judy is thinking, why is she wasting her time doing that? She should be cruising or something.
Yeah.
Why would she do that?
We've all thought about it
Yeah.
like that.
And I also came across some really interesting statistics about the health benefits of volunteering. The post-cancer Judy went back to that book, and that really it didn't fit right. I couldn't get back into it. But I came across my interview with that woman, and I certainly understood why she was doing what she was doing. I started meeting other survivors, women survivors, who were also giving back to the greater good. And then I read more about the research of volunteering, and I put it together, and I thought, wow, cancer survivors volunteering, there's healing and helping. And so it kind of was timed for at the same time that we moved from the Midwest here to Phoenix. And I said, I'm going to create an organization, and our sole focus is going to be on celebrating and supporting women survivors of any cancer who are giving back to the greater good.
Love it.
Because you focus your energy on somebody and something else, and pretty soon your troubles and your challenges kind of take a back seat.
Yep.
They don't go away.
Yep.
They just take a back seat.
I feel like that's been my whole life.
Yeah. So, and I said, the gal who wrote A Tale of Three Foobs with me was in a stage production of storytelling called Listen to Your Mother, and it was a cast of women, a fresh cast every year, so she was selected to tell stories about motherhood. So I thought, I'm gonna make our fundraiser be a storytelling event.
Love it.
Because everybody does galas and golf tournaments and and auctions and all those things. I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. When COVID rolled around, of course, we had to cancel our 2020 performance and then did it as a virtual one this March. We do our performances in March. But that was the 7th one that I'd done here in Arizona.
So you started, because I want to make sure I didn't miss that. You started a second act in what year?
2016. And we also were doing programs in Tucson. So we did 2 storytelling events in Tucson as well. and then the 5-year.
I have to tell you, that's pretty sweet.
Oh, I love
And
it.
you did it, not only were you a writer, and you had the cancer, and you beat the cancer, but then you said, not only am I going to give back to the community in some way,
Right,
I'm going to help others
exactly.
do the same thing.
Exactly.
And I think that's important. That's why I wanted to bring that up again, because some people think, well, I'll just give back to the community and that's where it stops.
Right,
But if you can just reach, I usually say 5 people, but
yeah, no, that's
if you
true.
can reach 5 people and those 5 people reach 5 people
Yep.
and 5 people, you have made such a big impact just by you being one person.
That's right.
Touching 5 people.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
And it gives the cast members the opportunity to tell their stories, and,
Mhm.
and they only get to talk for about a minute about their cancer. The story is all about their second acts and how they develop them and what
Love
they are, and it can be anything from starting a giant foundation or a giant organization to just random acts of kindness. It really doesn't matter. They don't have to be cancer related. It's just the idea that you're helping somebody else. And then the story goes, two of the first cast members of the very first show were sitting behind the curtain, waiting for their turn to go out, and came up with the idea that we should make a book out of the stories. So the book now has, I don't know how many editions we've done, but we know that 35 stories is a good number to make the book reasonably priced.
Mhm.
And so now it's an ever-evolving cast of, or collection of stories, because the old ones roll off as the new ones come on.
Right. And that's what I was trying to explain to my mom and some of my girlfriends, which got me really excited as well. The book, what is the book actually called, so we can look for that?
It's called A Second Act, Cancer Survivors Changing the Question from Why Me to What's Next.
I love it.
Yeah.
Did I say that a lot?
Oh, you're so cute. And it's available on Amazon.
I do love it. Amazon is king. They hear me say that all the time. My viewers, Amazon is king. So, with that being said, when you started this, you're the founder.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do it by yourself or did you have help? Because I find that when you're starting
Yeah.
Cancer Called, it can be quite difficult if you don't know a lot of how-tos.
It is. So my husband, David, has been just an absolutely wonderful companion in all ways, but certainly extremely helpful in getting this launched. When we moved to Phoenix, it was moving back for me. He had never lived here before, but
Mhm.
not only had we visited together, but because he's a Cubs fan, so we would come for spring training,
Yeah.
and stay with my best friend. But he had been here professionally as well. He's a retired firefighter, so
Oh.
he had come. So anyway, so it was just me, but I tapped into all my friends who I had from before, and got lots of input in nonprofit and just all the elements that I needed. The first year, we did not file our own 501c3, which is the nonprofit, the IRS nonprofit code.
Right.
We were not our own organization. Instead, we were fiscally sponsored. So there are organizations around the country and here who take little nonprofits under their wings and cost you nothing. You pay a percentage of whatever money you bring in, but they do all the bookkeeping. You get to use their 501c3 status, so all of your donations are tax deductible for the donors. And so it gave me a year to kind of grow. And then
That means I'm listening.
yeah, it was terrific. And then I filed. My girlfriend and I filled out the paperwork right back there at the dining room table.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And look at what you accomplished. You have to be so proud of yourself.
I'm thrilled for the fact that it's caught on. I am proud. I am proud. It's hard for me to say that. I'm not going to say.
You know what? It's funny. I'm the same way. Not only my supporters, but my closest friends and family. They say, Tamara, you don't give yourself enough credit. And one thing I always say, and I will continue to say it is easier to say it to someone and to believe it for them
Right.
than to believe it for yourself.
Right. It's like the
I say
gift
it all the
adage. It's
time.
more blessed to give than
Yeah.
to receive.
It's like you get up every day, probably you're the same way, to do your organization, and you just do it.
Yeah.
It's like second nature to you.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I gotta call this person. I have to do this.
Yeah.
I need the cards. I need the merchandise. I need the event. I have to do the auditions. You don't look at it like, look at her go be Superwoman.
Yeah,
like,
no.
You don't.
Now I'm much
But
better.
other people see us like
So,
that.
but I do speak at the end of the storytelling event because it is my responsibility to raise money.
Yes.
So I always start with, some funny little anecdote, and then now I can say, we have the money that we raise pays for the events that you came to, the Girls Night Out events, which
Mhm.
are free, pays for workshops, which are free. We do those twice a year, and so we'll start those again hopefully next year.
Yeah.
And then we give micro grants to women survivors ready to launch or grow their second acts. And so we have given 20 $1,000 micro grants. And
That's
that's
$20,000, folks.
yeah, that
$20,000.
I really am proud of, because some of these organizations, they're just amazing.
I just want
women
to
have
buzz.
done. Oh, I know.
Just let me do
I know,
it,
it's so
Judy.
fun.
Oh my God.
So at the end of that,
excited.
thank you. At the end of that, I used to always say, "This is my second act," but in 2018, I think, I met a Tucson woman
Mm-hmm.
as a result of doing our programs down there. I met a Tucson woman who became the inspiration for the book that just came out that I was talking about, the definition, but today being the anniversary of the founding of the cancer survivorship movement
Mm-hmm.
and the definition of survivorship. She was one of the founding members, one of the 23 at that first meeting. And she started telling me her story and telling me what survivorship was like. I mean, who knows the history of survivorship? You are so
Right.
focused on what's going on with you right now.
Yep.
But oh my gosh, you guys, what other people went through back in the day, the discrimination, people thought cancer was contagious.
Yeah.
They could be fired. You could actually be asked on a job application if you'd had cancer, because employers,
Really?
yes, employers thought that cancer survivors, even if they were no longer sick, were likely to be
A risk, you think?
sick more often, get cancer again, go to the doctor a lot, be a drag on their insurance program.
Welcome to
So
America.
they actually could ask you. You couldn't join the military. You couldn't adopt children. I mean, it was nuts. And that was like as recent as 1986. We're not talking the 1920s. Isn't
That
nuts?
blows my mind.
I
I mean,
know.
the things you learn, you literally learn something every day.
Yeah,
On a job application?
on a job
That's
application.
just insane.
But what led to all of that, cancer survivors had a very poor prognosis until about 1972. Half of everybody diagnosed died. Didn't matter what
that's
kind of
what's
cancer.
that's what scared me, Judy, the most is when they told me I had cancer. The only thing I could think was I'm gonna die. Like if I could be 100% real right now, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
And
I don't want to.
the viewers hear me talk about my friend Kim. I don't know if I shared Kim with you, but Kim was a dear friend of mine, and she got breast cancer in her early 40s. And I think by that time it might have been stage 4. She did like 90 chemo treatments.
Oh my God.
And they stopped counting radiation at some point. The breast cancer moved to her brain, and she's no longer with us. But that's all I could see was what Kim went through. And so I was like, I don't want to die. And before that, sometimes I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm getting better with this. Before that, because of 2 past marriages and the infertility, I had made up my mind that I'm just going to travel, try to live my best life, don't bother anybody, nobody will bother me, do my charity work, and I'm done. If I ever get cancer, I'm not going to try to fight it. I really had no reason
Right.
in my mind to fight it.
Right.
And lo and behold,
Yeah.
my husband comes along, right? Kind of the same thing
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you have cancer. And I went, dag nabbit. Right?
Just
now I
when my
gotta
life
fight
got
it.
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
now I gotta fight it. So, yeah, so I really felt like I didn't have anything to fight for. So to hear you say, I want to give these women this little extra push
Yeah.
that they can do or have a second act.
That's right.
And I want to help you through that. And I'm giving you grants for that. And I'm doing theater shows for this and workshops and events.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, and so not only then do the women on stage who have second acts get to talk about their second acts, but the audience hears them. And no matter what challenge they're facing, whether they too are cancer survivors or they're getting through a divorce or the death of a loved one, you know, it's this whole notion that helping is healing works for anything. And without exception, at the end of every performance, people come up to me and say, I am so motivated. If those women can do that, I can do, you know, fill in the blank. It's just, it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It really is.
I want to thank you. You know, before we go into a closing here, I personally want to thank you. And I will thank Pam again, who invited me
Yes,
to the
she's so
event.
sweet.
She's going to be on the show too. I really think you gave me an extra boost that evening because I started feeling like I didn't have the viewers. Not sure people really care about cancer like I thought they did.
Yeah.
You know, doing these shows.
Is anyone listening?
Yeah, like, I don't know. And then I would try to figure out Instagrams and TikToks, and I would get frustrated. And, you know, I have a day job, and I have a husband, and I have dreams and other things that I want to do,
Sure.
especially now that God has given me a second chance at life
Yeah.
for a second act. And so I want to thank you for the things that you said and giving me the opportunity to be part of that event, because it really kicked me back into high gear.
Oh, good.
And ever since then, I've hit the ground running again. I'm talking
I'm
to
so
artists.
glad.
We're doing better with the episodes. We're pulling, you know, more data and information to help us be better at TikTok and Instagram. I'm looking at more merchandise, all from your event.
Oh man, that is
Because
so
I
great.
really was just like, man,
Yeah.
I'll
this
go
is
back
hard.
to just doing charity work because
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But you know what everybody says? If it was easy, everybody'd do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Thank you so much. So let's remind everybody about some of the dates and how they can look you up. And the book, I think you said that either came out or is about to come out. So where can we find you on the web?
Okay. So this book, the history or the biography rather, it's called From Shadows to Life, a biography of the cancer survivorship movement, is available on Amazon. But you can read the prologue on my website, Judith L. Pearson, PEARSON.com. And the second act website is a second with a 2 nd secondact.org. And on there you can learn all about us. You can see all 58 women individually who
Love
have
it.
told their
Yep.
stories on our stages, and you can search by cancer type. So if you just want to watch the breast cancer
Oh,
survivors, you can do that.
I love
Isn't
that.
that cool?
Yeah, because I just take a group of them here and there.
Yeah,
And I just
yeah.
start watching them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you are welcome. I'm happy to connect you to any of them to
Thank
do
you.
this. They
Oh, you
are.
know I'm gonna ask you to.
You bet. They are amazing women. So it's asecondact.org. Our next event is Girls Night Out on December 1st, and that information will be up there shortly. I probably ought to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, and December 1st, and that's for any cancer survivor.
Right.
Regardless of what type of cancer.
Regardless of what type of cancer.
But women only.
We
Is it women only?
we let boys in. Well, it's women survivors only that are that.
I was like, man. No,
We're
just kidding.
we're women centric because men and women heal differently.
They do.
We heal through collaboration,
Mhm.
communication, nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
Men kind of heal on the golf course and the ball field. They
Yeah.
they don't want to do any of this touchy feely.
They really don't.
And we're just different.
Most of them, anyway. The things I'm gonna have to do to get my husband on, but he finally agreed.
Oh, good. Good.
Even though he's
good.
not healing from anything.
I'm glad.
He better play golf, and I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So
That's cute.
there you have it from Judy. Of
so
course,
much.
you can find me at cancercalled.com or on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at cancer_called. Please look me up because I need viewers.
You are
So
wonderful.
thank you. I love you,
Thank
Judy.
so much.
Before we close out, is there any feedback or any suggestions that you want to give our viewers?
I just think, you can even eat an
Advice.
elephant a day at a time, or a bite at a time. Take it one day at a time.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Eat an
You
elephant.
can even eat an elephant a bite at a time. And I figured it out. If you ate an elephant steak about the size of a regular steak at the end of, and you had it every night, at the end of 20 years, all you'd have left is tusk and toenails and tail. So the same is true with life.
love it.
Don't worry about, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get through chemo? Just one bite at a time.
One bite at
day
a time. Maybe I should put that on a shirt.
I love it.
I'll give you some money for it.
I don't want your money. Unless it's a big seller, then I'll have the money.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. Can I give you a hug?
You bet.
All
Let's
right.
hug.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to working with you in the future.
You bet.
See you next time,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.